And in an effort to ease concerns for the public, the San Onofre nuclear plant held a demonstration today to show how much or how little radiation is emanating from the plant while it's being dismantled. KUSI's Dan Plant joins us live from the San Onofre plant. Okay, this is interesting. I want to hear about this demonstration, Dan.
Yeah, well, you know, a lot of people have been interested in San Onofre and what's going to happen out here. There have been a variety of events over the past couple of months. There was an event over at the Belly Up. It was called Songs for Songs. A bunch of musicians got together and basically trying to put pressure on the federal government to get this stuff out of here. But the problem is with a situation like this is once this plant is decommissioned, it has to go into something called dry storage right here on site before it goes anywhere else. So a lot of people are concerned about this dry storage and the level of radiation that might be coming out of this plant during this process. Well, today they took us on a little tour and gave us those, you know, the little Geiger counters, little radiation detectors, and we went around the plant testing different things, and here's what we found. Take a look.
Even though the San Onofre nuclear plant has not produced electricity in years, this place is a beehive of activity. Only today, all of that activity is designed to contain and remove the nuclear waste.
We will keep the fuel here stored safe until the federal government or an independent agency creates a place to put it.
Until that day comes, tons of nuclear waste will be stored right here on the California coast.
0.3, which would equivalent to 30 microrem per hour. So the levels are really very low.
Since so many people have so many concerns about potential dangers, Edison put on a show and tell, hoping to make people feel safer.
The exposure rate's really very low, and it's all because of the shielding that we use, a lot of concrete, a lot of steel, all around the container.
Although not required by law, San Onofre is now outfitted with an elaborate radiation monitoring system which updates every 5 minutes.
In order to make sure that nobody is unnecessarily concerned about their health, we're publishing this data to show them what the real information is.
And that real information will now be collected and made available to anyone and everyone who is interested.
This rad monitor sends data to a server, which then the data is compiled and sent to the California Department of Health, who then will publish it every month.
Hoping to put things into perspective, they used a radiation detector on everyday things like a rock from the desert. In some cases, naturally occurring radiation is actually stronger than what's now coming from San Onofre.
That's an example of the presence of naturally radioactive materials in the environment.
So here we are on the platform that they call the dry storage facility, and basically this is where all the nuclear waste is going to be stored until it can get out of here and off the coast. The next one to go is right here. As you can see, it's all covered up with a tarp. Eventually they're going to take one of those canisters, drop it all the way into the ground, cover it the same way they've covered all of these things, and wait for the government to actually act and find a permanent, if not permanent, an intermediate storage facility so this stuff can get off the coast.
In order to get off the coast, it has to be kept here first in dry storage on the coast. It's the final step to prepare for eventual removal.
So our job is to make sure that we're ready as soon as any place opens up.
In the event that something does open up, San Onofre is restoring their railway system, a railway that was once headed to Yucca Mountain, Nevada, until President Obama shut it down.
Yucca Mountain is stopped now, but there's talk of maybe refunding it. I mean, that's a political issue.
Oh yeah, that's a political issue, all right. And if you're familiar with this Yucca Mountain, this was the facility that we all built with $15 billion of U.S. taxpayer money, many years of very high-paying jobs over there at Yucca Mountain in Nevada. But once they finished this $15 billion taxpayer-funded facility, they shut the door, saying, you know, we changed our mind. Harry Reid, senator there, got a hold of Obama and said, you know what, we don't like this anymore, so they shut it down. So at this point, there literally is no permanent facility for this nuclear waste to go. And one thing that maybe a lot of people don't know is no matter what happened leading up to where we are today, once a nuclear plant is shut down, once it is decommissioned, All this nuclear waste is no longer the property of Southern California Edison or the electric company. It is the property of the federal government and the responsibility of the federal government to get rid of it. Right now, the federal government dropped the ball in a huge way. The Energy Department needs to find some place to put this stuff, or this stuff will be sitting on the coast forevermore. So I guess the lesson here is put pressure on your local member of Congress, because that's where it's got to go, up to the federal government. They need to vote on this. They need to either open up Yucca Mountain, put some more money back into that thing, because this year it is funded at absolutely zero, no money for Yucca Mountain, but maybe things will change next year. But there needs to be a place to go, and it is currently the federal government's responsibility. A lot of people didn't know that. Once it's shut down, only the federal government could take that stuff and take it away. So that's where we are right now out here at San Onofre. But I guess as far as the lesson from today, the radiation, we get radiation in many, many ways in our lives, and the radiation out here is not as strong as a lot of people might think it is. So with that, we'll throw it back to you on a very foggy day out here outside those twin domes, those iconic twin domes, you guys.
Yeah, the iconic domes. 8.5 million people live within 50 miles from where you're standing, Dan, so a lot of interest in this. Thanks for that report.
Micro rim per year you get, that's these detectors are picking that up.
Do you mind just pulling up your sleeves?
And how do you get radiation?
Well, where do we get